Yo, 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 Big Kish back up in here. We about to go over the internet, dragging Drake over him censoring other artists and trying to sue Kendrick Lamar slash UMG. We know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get rid of all the other rappers that rap way better than him. That's what he doing. But we about to get into it. Before we get into that, y'all make sure y'all please go pick up a copy of Street Dad, Geek Dad, Avoiding the Manufactured Mindset, written by me, Big Kish. The link will be in the description. I appreciate y'all for y'all support. And the nose ain't nosing today, y'all. I know y'all probably hear the sinuses, everything's swollen, all this. It's all up in here. It's all up in here. So, yeah, y'all just bear with me. I got my tissue. I got my tea. Shout out to Pee Wee. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Y'all know I like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
UMG allegedly almost blocked the release of Pop Smoke's first posthumous album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, because of a Pusha T verse that the label thought was a diss at Drake. Billboard interviewed Pusha T's longtime manager, Stephen
Y'all go listen to that verse. It's fire.
Victor in response to the Clipse GQ interview that dropped yesterday. In the GQ article, there's a moment where Pusha alludes to the label interfering with the release of his verses on Rick Ross and Lil Wayne's Maybach Music 6 and on a posthumously released Pop Smoke song. While that Pop Smoke song is titled Paranoia, the official version features Young Thug and Gunna, but the original version also featured a verse from Pusha T. Pop Smoke was signed to Stephen Victor's label, Victor Worldwide. Stephen Victor points to a specific department at UMG who's responsible for protecting artists and the label from lawsuits for copyright infringement. But this department would supposedly take things a step further and would attempt to block Pusha from releasing verses that contain disses aimed at Drake. But there's more to the backstory of this song than what's in the article. Flashback to 2020 when this album was released, and you may recall that Pusha T and Young Thug actually got into a beef on social media over the song. First, Young Thug called out Pusha T saying, "I don't respect Pusha T verse on the song with me and Gunna because I don't have none to do with y'all beef, nor does Gunna, and if I knew that was about him, I would have made changes on our behalf." Pusha T then responded directly to Thug, tagging him in a post and saying, "Don't feel bad, nobody knew what the verse was about. The label heads that stopped it didn't even know. They only assume because he told them. The same way he told about the..."
Young Thug being a tap dancing, hot-headed coon that he is. He just jumping out. Bro, go speak to the brother, man. Nah, y'all fuck nigga, y'all fuck nigga, y'all got me messed up. Man, shut up. He be running his mouth too much. You need to be worrying about that damn probation, boy. For real.
The Ross Maybach 6 verse. Stephen Victor also told Billboard that Pusha T's verse was not a diss at Drake. Now, I do agree it's completely whack for a label to censor a rapper's lyrics just because he's being a little mean to another artist, but we need to call cap on this because Pusha's verse was 100% a diss at Drake. There's multiple subliminals aimed at Drake. Pusha says he's gonna buy a house in Mississauga, if I'm saying it right, which is in the Greater Toronto area. And he references an incident at his concert in Toronto in 2018 when people rushed the stage and a brawl erupted. Despite the verse obviously being a diss at Drake, it is absolutely insane for the label to allegedly have a pattern of doing.
Just because he said he about to buy a crib in Toronto don't mean that that's a diss at Drake. Yeah, that don't mean that.
But it's also pretty ironic that UMG was allegedly protecting and propping up Drake, and now Drake is suing UMG for allegedly doing the same thing for Kendrick. Kind of ironic.
You cannot make this up. Drake is the reason Pop Smoke, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was almost scrapped, and the reason that Pusha T's verse on Paranoia and verse on Maybach Music 6 were ultimately scrapped, gang. This is insane. You want to talk about industry darlings? Fam, this is nasty. So in this interview with Stephen Victor, they said Pusha T mentioned 2 songs in his interview with GQ, Rick Ross's Maybach Music 6 and Pop Smoke's Paranoia, where his verses were ultimately cut. Was this because of the same department's scrutiny? Stephen Victor replied, yes. What happened on the Pop Smoke song is that UMG thought that he was dissing Drake on that song. He wasn't, but they thought he was. Pop Smoke was released on my label, Victor, and obviously I managed Pusha, so they came.
Do y'all see where this can go? Just because a ninja who is not of the culture, well, not ninja, but some people who is not of the culture gonna sit up there and dictate what you can and cannot say on an album. Just because you feel, I feel like he's dissing Drake. So where this could go in the future, they could just be like, well, I feel like you're talking about somebody, so You have to change the verse. After an artist, whoever it is, then set up there and worked in the studio, day in, day out, spending hours on verses trying to perfect the song, all because you, somebody that's not of the culture, well, I feel like you just dissed somebody, so no, you're going to have to redo. What? No, this has to end now. This is why us as content creators, we got to react and do videos like this, exposing these guys day in and day out. Because when we come together in unison, what this does is it sends out shockwaves to the big companies like, nah, damn, we can't do stuff like this. This is making the people upset. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't gonna be buying that stuff that y'all trying to put out on our people. Like, y'all want to put everything about lean and steppers and demons all in your music, just for y'all gain and for our detriment. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna keep crying out. We're gonna keep yelling out.
Came to me and said, we're not going to put this out now unless you get Pusha to change these lyrics. Even though it has nothing to do with Pop Smoke, they're like, either he changes these lyrics or we're not putting the album out. Fam, I don't care who you're a fan of.
Talk that talk.
This is nasty, bro.
Talk that talk.
If you're in support of this, you are a dweeb. Real shit. Y'all want to talk all this, oh, Kendrick is the industry darling, and UMG sent Kendrick to destroy Drake and all this. Bro, they were literally scrapping records. They threatened to shelve Pop Smoke's album because of a verse that they felt like might have been throwing shots at Drake, fam.
Yep.
They threatened to shelve Pop Smoke's album, not even for a Pop Smoke verse. A Pusha T verse that they felt might have been talking about Drake, or might have been taken as a diss towards Drake. This is, so y'all for the censorship of hip hop? That's what y'all telling me? That's what y'all telling me right now. This is nasty work.
You got hip hop fans and you got Drake fans. They're not the same.
Bro, this is not, there's no way to cut it, slice it. You can't talk shit about one fan base and make it seem like, oh, the media is out to destroy this person and this is all a ploy. But then be okay with the fact that the behind the scenes, they were scrapping verses and shelving albums to protect Drake, fam. I'm not even saying this is Drake's fault. This is me talking about UMG and Republic and Def Jam and what they got going on over there. That's nasty. That's nasty. Anybody in support of this is a weirdo, bro. You're just a stan of one artist and you're not a fan of rap, bro. This is crazy.
Y'all are not gonna believe this. So Pusha T and his brother No Malice just did an interview for GQ to promote their new album. And in that article, Pusha T talks about how he doesn't like Drake. Oh, and also the sky is blue today. Come on, we already know the play. If you need to promote your album, just talk about Drake, diss Drake, say Drake, and that's all you need. We get the play. What's funny about the article, though, is that in that article, Clipse, Pusha T and No Malice talk about how they have a Kendrick feature that actually led to them being dropped from their label. You can see in this excerpt that the album was actually finished and ready to go last summer, and that the brothers felt super confident about it and were sure Def Jam was gonna love it. Well, Def Jam actually did love it, except for one verse, which was Kendrick's verse on the song Chains and Whips. When Def Jam heard it, they actually asked Clipse if they could censor Kendrick's verse, and here's why. You can see that UMG, Def Jam's parent company, blanched at the antagonistic optics of two of Drake's biggest enemies linking on wax. Pusha T obviously had a problem with it. You see, he actually says that right here. He said he was never doing that, which led to Def Jam's lawyers actually saying, okay, we'll just drop Clipse. That's fine with us. We won't release the album. Pusha T came back and said, well, you also have me as a solo act, so you either have to drop both of us or you drop neither of us. Def Jam then responded, that's perfectly fine, bye. So at this point, Def Jam has dropped Clipse and Pusha T as a solo artist.
No, they paid themselves. They paid Def Jam out of their contract. They spent 7 figures to get out of their contract. Remember, Pusha T got that bag. Pusha T got that McDonald's bag. You know what I'm saying? He got that Arby's bag. Yeah, don't forget, Ninja. Do your research. Do your knowledge.
Which led to Pusha and Clipse having to find a new home for their album, which they eventually did a year later at none other than Rock Nation. Early May of 2024, Kendrick the Puppet drops that weak diss track, Not Like Us. In late November of 2024.
Oh, is this a Glazer? I wasn't paying attention. We get you up out of here. I'm about to edit you right on up out of here. Who is this guy?
Censor. They're going to be asked why they didn't censor the defamatory lyrics. And that's where we are.
You know what's interesting, Makai? Pusha T actually spoke on Drake suing UMG and those legal matters. He says, I don't rate him anymore. The suing thing is bigger than some rap shit. Damn, it's like it cheapens the art of it once we got to have real questions about suing and litigation. Like what, for this? Now, he actually speaks a little more about his back.
Yo, y'all let me know am I bugging. Do he remind you of Mos Def, or that's just me? He sound like Mos Def, look like Mos Def, and everything. Y'all let me know, man.
Back and forth with Drake from 2018. Let's get into that a little bit more, right? I'm okay with Pusha having an opinion on this. I welcome, especially hip-hop guys, the rap guys, their opinions on this stuff. Whether you agree with it, disagree or not, I welcome it. I personally welcome it. I've stated my opinion as far as those legal matters, but let that man go handle what he's going to handle. But Pusha says, you know, he talked about specifically in GQ about how he felt like Drake was trying to bait him back into the battle. You know what I'm saying? It says here, I'm going to let you guys read off the top where they talk about the meltdown record with Travis Scott and things like that. But he says, you know, Pusha heard the taunts, much like when I asked him a similar question 3 years ago, as the interview was saying here. He could not care less because Pusha says, I think after everything that had been done, I don't think there was ever anything subliminal to be said ever again in life. Not only just like musically, like, bro, I actually was in Canada. You know, I actually had a show in Canada. I made it home. So he was, y'all scared of that. Y'all scared of the six or whatever. So I can't pay attention to none of that. I did the dance for real.
Ain't nobody scared of no six. You go sit down somewhere, man. And you got that from them Atlanta ninjas, man. The six. You got that from Gucci and them, man.
Not to come back and tiptoe around it. Interesting even more is like Pusha kind of alluding to, you know, feeling like he has more intimate knowledge of what's going on here surrounding, you know, around Drake's suit and things like that, right? So, you know, Pusha talks namely Drake's decision to sue UMG over releasing Not Like Us. Pusha elaborates on what he meant. You know, he says, I will say this.
Yo, we got a live donation. Shout out to Walker. For love your show. God bless you and the family. Hey, appreciate you, Walker, for your donation. Thank you so much. Shout out to Walker, y'all, for the donation. All right, let's get it.
Pusha says, admitting he's no bar-proof counselor with intimate knowledge of the suit. This is crazy. If Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it's only because he knows all the things that they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon and the verses and the records and the things that were happening back then. One thing I will say about Adidon, it was done over a Jay-Z beat, so I'm not sure how much you could make that a commercial product. It was done over the story of OJ. I think those will go over the blogs, but maybe he's talking about, I know some people speculated about striking it down off a place like World Star. I don't know. And the verses in the record and things that were happening back then. So that one, he might have a point as far as maybe Drake teaming up with his label to make sure that Pusha doesn't end up on certain songs. And the songs that we're talking about here, he alludes to instances in which he says, you know, the label muddled, if not outright, nixed the release of verses in which Pusha talked his shit next to people closely affiliated with Drake, as he did on Rick Ross and Lil Wayne's Maybach Music 6, and a posthumous released Pop Smoke song with Young Thug. That one I find interesting. I think Drake would probably just reach out to his own people like, yo, you link with my op. So I'm not sure there. But and this is the part I read to y'all earlier where it says he doesn't rate it anymore. But just kind of going to read the end here. It says, you know, Pusha once rapped that he's often at the mercy of a game where the code is missing. So that's like the overarching theme of this like article with him and his brother. He seemed to, you know, want to go out his way to reject the idea of him being bullied. He says the way he sees it, every heat check or headshot he's doled out has been a product of him finishing the energy of what others have started. Okay. I've given y'all the history of the whole Pusha T, Birdman, Malice, Clipse, Pharrell, then whatever, and how this kind of alludes to Drake taking up for his boss and Wayne, but I guess, okay. But, you know, Pusha claims, hey, what have I done besides wear clothes this past few years? I don't start with nobody. He says, bro, I've been cool with all these guys. Everybody you mentioned today, bro, I promise you, they did the underhanded weird shit. So, yeah, that's where we are. We got more stuff from this GQ interview, man. I like it when these ninjas talk and they're candid. So if y'all like, oh, HQ, you love Pusha now? I love when ninjas talk and they candid. It makes for good content for us to understand what's going on in this rap shit.
Alright, why the fuck are we censoring Kendrick Lamar now? Pusha T paid 7 figures to exit his Def Jam deal after refusing to remove Kendrick Lamar's verse, even though there's literally no disses in the album that is upcoming. Although no disses were made, UMG requested Kendrick to censor his lyrics, which Pusha T's manager says it's like creative jail. He still had 3 solo albums left on that deal. And to further explain this, the Def Jam label asked Kendrick Lamar's verse to be censored on Clipse' upcoming album because of the tensions with Drake. Pusha T refused, valuing creative freedom, and even paid 7 figures to exit the contract. He would then sign to Roc Nation to get more artistic control. The verse likely didn't contain disses, but Def Jam was worried about industry optics. This highlights the clash between artist integrity based on reports, but the exact motives of Def Jam remains speculative. The label is obviously trying to protect their interest. I just think it's very unjustifiable to censor Kendrick Lamar just because you find it speculative that he might have dissed Drake, which is really unlikely. But let me know what y'all think about this, and don't forget to follow me for hip-hop and combat sports.
It's very unjustifiable. And it shows people that you operate off your emotions and not through logic. It shows people that you pampered, bruh. You right up under Lucien Grange. That's your baby daddy. Like Ye said, you know what I'm saying? And you exposing yourself.
T says UMG tried to censor Kendrick Lamar's verse because of the Drake lawsuit. So you got Pusha T speaking on how UMG, the label Drake and Kendrick belong to, basically tried to censor Kendrick Lamar's verse because of this whole lawsuit Drake got going on where he's suing his own label over this K-Dot situation. Boy done lost the battle, couldn't handle taking...
Hey, yo, I bet you he could tell some jokes. I can hear it in his voice that oh man, he would destroy you if you was to battle him in jokes. I could just hear it. I hear it.
The L, now he got to sue. People been flaming Drake up for that for months now, but it looks like you got UMG. They moving different now, right? They're like, man, look, we gotta watch what Kendrick is saying. We don't want Kendrick to go in too hard on Drake. Woo, woo. I believe they got a song they had together, I believe a couple years ago, right? They want to put it on the album. And the verse for Kendrick, I don't even believe it is getting at Drake like that, right? But now you got Drake out here trying to basically sue him. Now they gotta watch how they moving.
Drake trying to sue. He dirty. He musty. And he ugly. Drake trying to sue.
With Kendrick trying to censor K-Dot because Drake out here can't take an L and gotta sue.
Peace, y'all. What it do? It's your boy Skeeter Steve, representing Late Trials, and boy, we got some news for y'all, man. Pusha T says pushback over the Kendrick Lamar feature led Clipse to leaving Def Jam. Now, I don't know if you guys don't know. I want to say a couple months back, he was doing a couple of street interviews and interviews here and there at different places, and they asked him, they was like, yo, is the Clipse album ready? They was like, yeah, it's almost done, but we're waiting for one more feature. Feature, and he didn't say who, but he was like, yeah, man, I'm waiting on that feature. When it comes to find out, that feature was Kendrick Lamar, and Def Jam had a lot of reserves towards it, and I don't know why that they did, and especially coming with the biggest artist, hip-hop artist in the world right now. So Push... Okay, so this is how Pusha T explained it. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing, and then they wanted me to take the record off. And so after a lot of back and forth, Steve Golly, the lawyer over there at Def Jam, was like, well, we'll just drop the clips. But that can't work because, as Pusha T regards, I'm still a solo artist, but if you let us all go, we could do something. And as a result, both the Clipse and Pusha T got dropped off of Def Jam, which I think that was a stupid move on Def Jam's behalf. and now they became free agents, and now their album will be dropping July 11th on Jay-Z's Rock Nation with the Kendrick Lamar feature. Now, does this look good with Def Jam? No, it doesn't, because this is bad publicity to the highest level. And I mean, like, Def Jam, y'all got to get y'all stuff together over there, man. Okay, just because Drake and Kendrick doing what they're doing and what they're going through, that shouldn't affect Pusha T and the Clipse as well, bro. But either or, I'm excited that we're going to be getting the album, and also, too, we're getting the feature with Kendrick Lamar and the Clipse. Because the last time we heard Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar together was on Nostalgia. But either that's nor here or there, though. But y'all let me know in them comments how y'all feeling. Was this a good move, or was this a bad move in Def Jam's behalf of dropping the Clipse because of Kendrick Lamar? Y'all let me know in them comments.
He's going to look at this from a legal perspective. You better believe that his lawyers are going to use this article as evidence. Evidence that UMG has the ability to protect their artists from lies and defamatory content. Because they basically told Push, remove it or walk. And he walked. So they had the ability to stop Not Like Us. They had the ability to say, hey,
Glazer, get out of here. You look like you don't listen to hip hop. What does that look like? Somebody that's taken up for Lucien Grange, who understand everything that Lucien Grange and UMG and Def Jam is doing. Yeah, I understand everything that they're doing. Now, on the other side, I don't get what they doing. I don't understand nothing they doing. That's a Glazer. They are not hip-hop fans. They are Glazers. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video, man. Shout out to React, Rewind. Stay hitting them with those collages, man. Appreciate you a lot. And I will leave a link in the description. Big Kish signing out. I'm going, y'all.